With so many episodes under our belt, I think it's about time for a Marathon Me reboot.
With younger, sexier, more diverse hosts tackling all the same movies, franchises, and filmographies.
It's the same, but different. But sort of the same. Tune in.
Gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Marathon Me with your hosts Rhys
And Kane.
And we are back in the same room recording for one of the first times in a very long time.
Unreal. Honestly, being here in the studio, like not the Melbourne studio, not the old home that we did it in. We're in the Sydney studio. We're at Rhys's neck of the woods this time around.
I know Kane has come over here with an 11-hour bus ride, not just to record, but you know, we're making the most out of him being here.
This is a purely business-related holiday.
Yeah, exactly. When he rolled into the bus station and they're like, are you traveling for business or pleasure? This man said business.
Mm-hmm. I stand on it. I stand on business, baby.
Yeah, podcasting business. And mainly the big purpose is that my Sydney journey is coming to an end, and I needed this man to see what my Sydney life was like before it all sort of crumbles and goes away. And yeah, he needs to get a little bit of the time capsule of what it is.
I needed to make a cameo during the penultimate episode of the series finale of Rhys and Sydney.
Exactly, man. And I'm so glad that you're here. And we can actually be face to face to talk about a movie that I was extremely excited for when it first came out. We're continuing our Kevin Smith filmography retrospective, and we've got two movies to talk about today. Woo! We've got Jay and Silent Bob Reboot and Killroy Was Here.
Woo!
Two very, very different movies, but this is a new era of Kevin Smith once a fucking again. and this era is one where a big moment has happened in Kevin Smith's life since the last film that we went into.
The last big moment was him becoming just a full-fledged stoner podcaster.
Exactly.
What can be next on the chopping block for Kevin?
So he found a whole new life with the green, the reefer, and now he is finding a whole new life through coming close to toes with death itself. Most people that are across Kevin Smith and his life and what's been going on know that something quite upsetting happened to him just sort of pre-COVID times, is that the poor man had a heart attack. Jesus. He was gonna go on stage for some sort of like stand-up, Kevin Smith talking in front of people. Yeah. Like his biggest talent going out on stage is talking.
Yeah, just yapping. Yeah.
Yeah, the yapper was gonna go out on stage, but he had a pain in his chest, and it was pretty intense, this pain, until he went unconscious, had to go to the hospital, and he was essentially told that he had a widowmaker heart attack.
Oh, shit.
And I think...
Oh, shit, okay.
The doctor said that 9 out of 10 people that have this heart attack die.
Oh, fuck,
but
okay.
He was going to be one of the 10 that survived because they're very good at their job. And when he was there, he sort of came to accept death a little bit on the operating room table.
Wow.
I know, pretty intense, right? And he was thinking about all the things that he's happy with, that he's not happy with, all the things he regrets not being able to do in his life.
Yeah, of course.
And one thing that he told himself he was going to do if he survives this heart attack is make a Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Okay, wow.
And that's why we have this movie. That's why we have this today. So
interesting. Okay, so like this, I didn't know that this movie came out of because I know about the whole heart attack sequence of events, but I didn't know that like Reboot was literally conceived on the verge of death.
This is a deathbed movie that we're talking about today.
Wow.
Which is a bit ironic, right? Because it's also like a dumb stoner fan service movie, but completely. Also one that came from a near-death experience. A bit freaking strange.
I mean, look, if Kevin Smith was going to make any kind of like near-death experience kind of movie, this seems like it makes the most sense, you know? Like a lot of directors will make films, or like artists will make songs or albums like close to death kind of thing, and it's very like poignant and talking about life and death, you know, like a la David Bowie's last album. But like with this Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, it makes the most logical sense for Kevin Smith to do so. And also like, obviously, if you're going to make a film, if you want to do a film after having a brush with death, why not dip your toes back into, like, you know, this universe that, like, you've closed the book on kind of thing? You know, you want to maybe revisit it, you know, revisit some old friends.
Yeah, a swan song for Kevin Smith wouldn't really make sense to be, you know, like a hard-hitting drama. Instead, it has to be the dumbest, most over-the-top Kevin Smith movie that you've ever seen.
No sequel to Jersey Girl for us.
Jersey,
for us, for all 5 Jersey Girl fans.
Imagine Kevin Smith is on his deathbed and he's going, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make Jersey Girl 2. But yeah, so we're seeing a more existential Kevin Smith that knows that his time is ticking and he's going hard on what he's passionate about. And we saw this movie together in theaters when it came out. It was very tricky to see this in Australia. There was only one screening in Melbourne at Cinema Nova. I was expecting that like this was going to be quite hyped and full of people. What was it like, Kane?
I remember like being like pretty darn empty, honestly.
It was,
and like because like there was no marketing for this film because like, you know, I'm a Kevin Smith head, but like I'm not as I wasn't as well into the Kevin Smith ocean as say like Rhys was, and I didn't even know that this movie was coming out until like maybe the week that you told me we were gonna go. You pitched this idea to me, let's go watch the movie, and I'm like, what the fuck, they did this is a thing. So I was excited to go, and the theater was empty, but I remember it being a really great experience. I remember, like, didn't you cry when we watched it back in the day? Or, like, you got really emotional during our first viewing?
I definitely did cry.
Yep, no, good.
So in this theater, it was probably, like, maybe 30 people in the whole theater.
Like, less, honestly. But to be fair, we were, like, pretty near the front, honestly, I remember.
But what I remember loving about this so much is that it's a massive inside joke of a movie, right?
Yeah.
But you get a different inside joke every freaking 10 seconds in this film. And you were in a theater with all the other people that got these jokes. And it felt like such a nice communal sort of experience.
Yeah, it really did, honestly.
So I took that as such a beautiful cinematic moment, honestly. But you know, time has shifted a little bit.
Yes, it has.
And recency bias is no longer a thing. We've now rewatched this movie a handful of times.
Yes, we have.
And we're a little bit older, a little bit more disconnected from it.
A little bit more jaded, a little bit more weathered down.
Yeah, exactly. also there not being the recency of like, oh shit, Kevin Smith almost just died, and here's his big sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now he's made 3 other movies since that.
Yeah,
so
he also seems to be doing better, like, health-wise and everything. I mean, hell, like, they kind of lost a ton of weight in this movie as well. Like, you know, seeing him in this movie compared to his last appearance in, say, like, you know, Clerks 2, it's like it's still Kevin, but like it's kind of like night and day in a sense, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a new era for Kev, and before we go into too much details of what we thought of it now, here's a bit of the trailer.
All right, you motherfuckers. I know you in there. Come out right now. Drop the motherfucking plans.
This son of a bitch doesn't have a dick.
He's got a fucking dick. He just got it tucked in.
Identify yourselves, motherfuckers.
I'm Jay, and this is my hetero life mate, Silent Bob.
Don't tell me you guys have no idea there's a new comic book movie being made of the old comic book movie you two are the basis for.
That old-ass star-studded piece of shit, that movie sucked balls.
Sucked asshole, too.
Your Honor, I object. I'll allow it. That movie did suck balls and asshole.
We got 3 days to get to Hollywood and stop this reboot from ever happening.
Boys, I had a baby. Jay, brace yourself. You're about to meet our love child.
I think I'm gonna need to see a blood test.
So, Kane, do you think that Jay and Silent Bob Reboot struck back? But do you think that it held up to this day?
Yeah. I honestly, I thought it was good. Like, I was really excited to go into this because this is. I barely remembered anything about this movie. I remembered certain set pieces, but I didn't remember any like of the jokes, the cameos, or you know, a lot of like the more hidden cameos kind of thing. And I was keen to go in, and like I have issues with this film, and I don't like it as much as the last two times that we had watched this, you know, upon cinema release and our previous marathon back in 2020. But I still can say I had a good time with this. I definitely liked it a lot more than I didn't.
Okay, that's good. I am jealous because I was a big Jay and Silent Bob Reboot defender. Like, whenever talking to people about his filmography, I would be like, oh, no, it's so earnest and it's really real and all this sort of stuff. But I just found this so cringe.
Oh,
I found it really, really cringe this time around.
Damn, man.
More jokes fell flat than didn't to me. I freaking really don't like the sort of Gen Z humor in this. Those are the jokes that like fall the flattest. As in, oh my god, Silent Bob has discovered emojis to communicate with the world.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get some more in line of the jokes later on, because trust me, you're not alone in thinking that.
In the movie, you hear Silent Bob doing a lot of this on his phone, and it goes for about, you know, maybe 15 seconds of him doing that,
and we get a great reaction shot of the characters just like kind of looking blank face and be like, ooh, what's going on here?
And the freaking like hater tots stuff.
I kind of like the hater tots bit, honestly. It fucking sucks. And it got a chuckle out of me. You know why? It's just because of, I think the last time that Fred Armisen is in that movie, when he's like he's chucking hater tots.
Okay,
at
that's
Silent
good.
Bob. That was funny. I think just that joke was so cringe, and I was just like, okay, it was got a bit of a giggle out of me at the very least. So I think commend it.
I think the concept of hater tots, I don't think are very funny.
Oh, it fucking sucks, yeah.
but that's like that's so much of this movie, and overall, it's the most Kevin Smith movie you've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I am so curious what a human being would think watching this movie not knowing any of these other View-Askew films.
Oh, yeah, true. Oh, my God. It'd be even more of a jarring experience than watching the original Jay and Silent Bob. Like me going into that, I can still get a lot of enjoyment out of it, despite it being basically an hour and a half long Kevin Smith inside joke. With this, it's a lot more, like you said, it's a lot more of a Kevin's, only the hardcore Kevin Smith fans are going to get the most out of this. If you're going completely blind, you're gonna be kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this?
It's way more egregious here, right? Like, as in, with Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, is that with that, Miramax actually gave them $10 million to make this inside joke movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think there's some accessibility there still.
No, there is.
For a lot of people, it was their first Kevin Smith movie, and it sort of sold them on the View-Askew universe. This, I don't think, could sell anyone on the View-Askew universe.
No, definitely not. Definitely.
It's and most of the jokes are also just cameos of just like, oh, look who's here.
Yeah.
Look at that. I could only find 2 Kevin Smith films that this film does not reference.
Right.
Everything else it references.
Yeah.
Zack and Miri Make a Porno and Red State. No references to those.
Yeah, true.
But every other film of theirs, freaking at the wazoo.
Wait, did they make a Jersey Girl reference in that movie?
Yeah.
Did
they?
When?
Well, fucking Ben Affleck is making Jersey Girl jokes all the time. And also fucking Kevin Smith, the character, apologizes for Jersey Girl in this.
Didn't he apologize for Cop Out?
He, the Jersey Girl is definitely referenced this.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
right.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think because I was too bombarded with just like the fuck Cop Out, like they really went into the whole like fuck Cop Out. And like, look, like fair enough, you know, it's a shit garbage tier film no one should watch, and I'm sorry that Kevin had to work on this thing, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, we get it. Like,
I think Jason Lee actually, I think he is like, when they start talking about the character Kevin Smith in this movie, and is like, oh, it's the guy that made Jersey Girl.
Oh, okay.
I think he brings it up actually.
Okay. God bless our God.
Yeah, exactly. Brody, the jacket makes an appearance again.
Dude, the jacket makes an appearance, and This was one joke that I was very looking forward to coming back to, is that Jason Lee makes an Alvin and the Chipmunks reference in this movie.
He does.
And I remember it had me on the floor back in 2020 watching that film for the first time, and still got a nice big smile out of me, especially, you know, having been insane enough to cover the Chipmunks for the podcast. So, you know, it was a very nice full circle kind of moment.
Yeah, it's not just a big movie referencing all of, you know, Kevin Smith's movies, but also feels a little bit like, you know, hardcore Marathon Me DNA in that film.
Oh yeah.
And I started getting really sick of this movie quite quickly, sadly.
Right.
Maybe it's that it doesn't really survive rewatches. Maybe it's the shock of like how fourth wall breaky it is and how much of fan service that it is, that first time it's like, oh my god, I can't believe that they've done this. Because it feels like, wow, they're making a movie just for me. Second time watching it, you're reliving that a little bit. Third time watching it, it's a bit like
diminishing returns.
You're just like, okay, it's because there's no shock value in it anymore, right?
I completely get what you mean. Like, despite the fact that I had forgotten a lot about this movie, like a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the jokes, sadly a lot of it just did not hold up, kind of thing. Like, every time I was kind of being more drawn into the movie, there was a couple jokes that would start hitting. I'm like, okay, we're getting into this. And then you get a lame Gen Z humor type joke, Silent Bob on his phone, or like, just like that kind of humor. And I'm just like, okay, nah. Or even just random bit part characters that just show up and they're just not funny. Like when they get to the movies. And there's Jennifer, of course, you know, Vanity casting at its finest again.
Yep.
And this other like lady that's appeared in a couple of Kevin Smith's later films, and she's like trying to be all wacky with her eyes bulging out of her head, and I'm just like, what's going on here? What are we doing here?
Oh, so that actress, she's also known for like Raising Hope, and she comes up in like heaps of different sort of like comedy TV shows here and there. Her name is Kate Micucci.
Okay.
And like she has this sort of like squirrely sort of look to her. I totally agree with you where it's just like, that's just like the dick joke humor of this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, Miss Mackenzie, this old man's trying to show me his old man dick.
Yeah, oh my god. And he wants to show me his eggplant. Oh my god. It's like fucking...
God.
It's like, because like, at the same time, it's like, you know, the movie, Jane Silent Bob Strike Back did the same kind of stuff, but at least... It didn't feel like it felt of its time. Like, you know, it's like very of its time, but it was like in an endearing way. You know, that early 2000s dick fart joke kind of humor. There was a bit of earnestness behind that, and also just like, oh look, it's the early 2000s. They didn't know any better, but it just feels a bit. It just felt a bit tired and forced this time around.
It's a little bit sadder when you. In comparison to like watching, you know, people in their early to mid 20s making dick jokes compared to people in like their early 50s making dick jokes.
Yeah.
It like feels a bit lamer, right?
Yeah, completely.
It feels a bit like, oh, okay, guys, come on, it's time to grow up now.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly.
And like there is in this some heart, definitely. And you know, the sentimentality I think works at different moments. Like I do love the romanticism of Jane and Silent Bob as characters, like as in the intro of them.
Yeah.
As you know, the movie opens, we're brought back to the quick stop, you know, our comfort zone as Kevin Smith fans.
Yeah, get to see Dante get fucked over with the gum in the locks again.
Yeah,
you know,
once.
Oh no, gum in the locks, and then he gets arrested. You know, just like our boy Dante, who we haven't seen in over 10 years, is getting shit on once again.
Yeah,
so, you know,
exactly.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah. And then we see that Jane and Silent Bob have become business owners with the cock smoker next door. And then like they do this reference where they're sort of like a SWAT team that get them to sort of evacuate their own place.
Yeah.
But then Goodbye Horses starts playing, and he does like the Buffalo Bill thing once again. And like, to be honest, watching this in the theater for the first time, it was like goosebumps all over.
I didn't find it funny the first time watching it. I was a bit
no, not funny. Like, as in just like, emotional. Like, our boys are back.
Oh, I didn't really feel that the first time watching it, honestly.
You missed out then.
I get what you mean, though. No, I get what you mean. Like, it took me a while, but eventually I had that same feeling. Like, yes, the boys are well and truly back. Yes.
And I felt that so hard. Even on the third watch, I still felt that sentiment of like they're a bit older, they're different, but they're still the rambunctious bunch that we fell in love with, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty nice. But then pretty much that is where the movie peaks for me.
Oh, shit, okay.
In the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's not a great sign. Not a great sign at all. I will say that, like, coming back, it is nice just to see, Jay and Silent Bob just up to their old antics again. And, like, do we want to kind of go into, like, some of the more heartfelt stuff of this movie?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of
like,
course.
I'll say this, is that one thing that I had a problem with in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is that I didn't really give a shit about, like, when the film was trying to be, well, quote-unquote, emotional, because I know, like, it's kind of just taking the piss out of those kind of plot lines. But I still didn't care for it, though. I see what Kevin was trying to do. I still didn't care for it. This time around, however, I got, like, they're actually trying to create some earnestness and some actual genuine emotion between the relationship between Jay and his newfound daughter in this film, played by Harlequin Smith. Her name was Millennium Falcon, right?
Yep, yeah, that's it.
That's kind of lame, but whatever. I'll deal with it. It's fine. But I gotta say, their attempts at, like, bringing emotion and heart, I quite liked it this time around. I mean, like, I thought it was fine back in the day when we first watched this, but, like, I think it for me, it hit more than it missed, honestly. And I think it just comes down to the central performances from Jason Mewes and Harlequin Smith, especially Jason Mewes, man. Like, you got to admit that he's still on the top of his game, like delivering an emotional performance. Like, we've never seen this kind of side of Jay before.
Yeah, totally. That's the best part of the movie, probably, for me, is, like, that emotional aspect of it.
Like, it made me actually, like, not like to cry, like, get choked up or anything, but I was like, I was a bit like, oh, that's nice,
Yeah, and this whole idea of, like, what it takes to be a father, and Kevin Smith making this movie about, being a father is being present and sort of showing and introducing your kid to what really means the most to you.
Yeah.
And that is sort of what he's doing with getting Harley Quinn Smith more involved in his movies, right? Bring her into the View-Askew universe. It's this meta-narrative of, like, when they, at the end, right, are standing in front of the quick stop together, Jay and Millie, it's essentially Kevin taking Harley Quinn Smith to the quick stop to be like, you're a part of this world now.
Yeah, completely.
And that's best thing about the movie. It didn't make me full on cry this time, but the monologue about fatherhood from Harley Quinn Smith in the van still gets me. The thing that made me not, like, it made me choke up instead of, like, full on sort of tear up, was that I was noticing with these emotional sort of beats, it's like this ridiculous, sickly, sweet movie in terms of, like, just the amount of dick jokes and references all over the place.
And then just pivot into, like, something from a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, okay, now we're stopping, and then we're giving you 3 minutes of, like, hardcore emotions. And the whole movie shifts tone.
Yeah.
And then you jump back to, silly weed jokes.
Yeah, of course,
It's way less palatable when you're not sort of taken off guard. When you've seen it a couple of times, you're like, oh, okay. Like, you're waiting for those scenes, and it's way less impressive, I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, it obviously doesn't hit as hard, but, like, it's still something that I can admire, especially like I don't know, like, just the idea of a film like fucking Jay and Silent Bob Reboot actually doing some emotional stuff well. That's, I gotta give it the credit that it deserves on that front,
And I think its commentary on the reboot is pretty good.
Like, I quite like it. Yeah,
like how about they're joking about this, like, they're updating it for newer audiences with a younger cast and a more diverse cast that have, like, all these different sort of, like, to represent different sort of groups.
Yeah,
and then, like, did you notice that Harley Quinn Smith's sort of sidekick, her friend who's deaf, is essentially, like, like the Silent Bob equivalent.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course.
Yeah, like I actually didn't even realize that until this time around. And I'm like, oh, she doesn't talk either. Oh, it's like the Silent Bob thing.
I totally forgot about Harley Quinn Smith's group of friends in this movie. But then I'm like, second like the deaf girl appears, I'm like, oh, okay, her own Silent Bob. Very, very, very. Bravo, Kevin. Bravo.
Very, very clever, mate. Very clever.
Vince Gilligan could never be so genius.
Little thing that I noticed during this watch was that in the bedroom, in Harley Quinn Smith's bedroom, when her character is introduced, there is music playing from the 10th, which is Harley Quinn Smith's band.
Oh, she has a band?
She had a band. Now she has a different band.
Okay. Where's the Yoga Hoses band? You telling me they didn't make real music?
They didn't make real music. Sadly. Actually, maybe the other person in the 10th is Lily Rose Depp. Actually, maybe I'm fucking this up. The whole thing, and it's actually more connected than we even think.
I mean, it would make sense. Johnny Depp, has ties with musicians and everything like that. He played tracks with certain artists. Hell, he even like played a track with like Oasis at one point, I'm pretty sure, during like some recording sesh with other mainstream artists of the time.
Really?
So, yeah. It's not on any of the Oasis albums. I think it might have been on like maybe like I think someone from like the Jam or something, or one of like some decently known kind of. I like think like Tom Welling is. Whatever, it's just like some like popular artist that like they all work together on kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I can confirm it is not Lily Rose Depp. Okay. That is the other person in the band, and there's actually not even just one other person in the band. There's 3 other people.
Of course.
Shows how much of a diehard fan I was.
Oh man, well, you might have to get back into their music, mate.
Well, there's only 2 albums, and then they're done. Yeah, I know.
Shit,
I know.
oh
Disappeared.
God.
I know.
I hate it when that happens.
But let's talk a little bit more about how freaking... I have some beats to talk about with how this Kevin Smith movie is. Like that, this man... Also, it really felt like he was trying to tie up so many loose ends in this movie too, right? Even in the way that, like, in this film, it explains the eventual sort of endings and, like, almost like epilogues of Dogma and Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Matt Damon literally just comes into this movie to explain what happens after Dogma. And then...
But didn't he die in Dogma, though? Why is he, like...
Well, he dies, but he's an angel, so, like, he...
But
he was a human.
Yeah, he had his wings clipped, yeah.
Yeah, they rewrite that apparently he ends up,
yeah,
like...
I guess, yeah, they just, what's the word?
Being in some sort of metaphysical, religious... freaking state.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I don't know. It's like they retcon. Maybe it's like the retconned it in a way. It's like, yeah, well, he's dead, but not really. I don't know.
So sadly, Harvey Weinstein's Dogma 2 has already it's already been written. You know?
Oh dear.
Already been there, and then Ben Affleck comes to just explain the ending of Chasing Amy as well.
yeah. Oh my god.
And in case you didn't know that this movie was about fathership,
he brings he's got a daughter.
He's got a daughter. Names her Amy.
Yeah, oh my days, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, no, well,
explains the concept of co-parenting to the viewers.
They explain, like, the kind of conclusion of Chasing Amy post, the ending, post the film, but they never explained did they ever explain where the fuck Banky is during all this?
Never explained Banky.
Banky's probably just dead. He's probably dead now.
He's dead, washed up after all the money that he got from royalties for Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Blunt Man and Chronic movie,
yes,
sorry.
Yeah.
Then, probably just washed up, dead.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. Fucking rest in peace, man.
Exactly.
He's raged, because he's raged from Chasing Amy, probably, like, boiled over to a tipping point, and probably cost him future gigs, as if Blunt Man and Chronic wasn't already enough to kill his career.
I reckon it was all the internalized homophobia and self-hatred.
Yep.
That then he never came out. He's one of like the sort of great tragedies in Hollywood in the View-Askew universe. Sort of like, how like Rock Hudson never could like come out as gay, even though that like it's sort of commonly known that he was.
Yeah.
Banky Edwards, the exact same thing.
Rest in peace, Banky Edwards, man.
The View-Askew universe is Rock Hudson. Oh, so upsetting.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And did you notice who plays the little girl Amy?
I did not notice until I saw the credits, and it was Jason Mewes' daughter.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, that's nice. Okay.
So
we've got both Jane Silent Bob's kids in this movie.
So no wonder that Jason Mewes can bring such a good, authentic performance to this movie about fatherhood when he knows now what it's like to be a father as well.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, it's Jay's partner. Jason Mewes' partner and the mother of this like actress that produces a lot of the View-Askew movies around this time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, interesting.
And so like I know that she like produced Clerks 3 because she was like in a lot of sort of interviews for that. But I don't know. I don't believe if she produced this one. I think that she was just like sort of on set and around at this sort of point.
Just working as the as a little baby Mewes' agent kind of thing.
Yes. Exactly.
Keeping an eye out for her best interest. Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, parent, sure. Agents, yeah, definitely sounds better. Yeah.
Actually, no. Her name is Jordan Monsanto, and she produced Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yoga Hoses.
Oh no.
Tusk.
Okay.
Holidays.
Okay.
Clerks 3.
Okay.
And Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie.
Sake, can't. Jesus Christ. Talk about a mixed catalog.
Yep, exactly. But you know, it's good on her. I guess she's now instilled as a part of the View-Askew universe.
Yeah, she's part of the family now.
I have to say, also before we go off of Chasing Amy and Holden. Giving this wise monologue about fatherhood, it's quite a nice moment, but still, it doesn't feel like the Holden that I fucking knew from Chasing Amy.
No, not really. Literally, first time watching this movie, I thought I was just like, oh, this is just a Ben Affleck cameo.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Alyssa shows up, and I'm like, oh, they're referencing that film. And you are right. It just feels like I'm watching Ben Affleck talk to these guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's I'm trying to think if it feels more Holden than it did in Strike Back, but I don't know because Holden was never really like, because like he like acted really like, he had a bit of like the kind of Ben Affleck kind of like 2000s Ben Affleck smugness in 2001's fucking Strike Back. That Holden didn't really have in Chasing Amy. He was a bit he had a bit of smugness, but he was really kind of just like a bit of an insecure, bit of a dirtbag and all that kind of stuff.
I think that he is written to be Ben Affleck in this movie.
You're completely right. Honestly, I will say that there's a tiny bit more of an earnesty that I'm like, okay, I see a bit of the Holden McNeil from 1993.
Oh, okay.
Like more so than Strike Back, but still, it's maybe it's also just because the inclusion of Alyssa makes it feel more like a Chasing Amy thing instead of just inserting the music kind of thing like they did in 2001.
And it feels more like a reunion of Kevin Smith and Ben Affleck instead of the actual characters, because Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith sort of their friendship sort of took a break.
Yeah,
like as in they had a little bit of a falling out.
Oh, they had a falling out. I thought. Oh, really? I thought it was just because like obviously Ben Affleck was like just big movie star and then as Batman and everything. I didn't know they had a falling out.
They weren't on the best of terms.
Wow.
But then they slowly it was around the heart attack period.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason that there's so many crazy freaking cameos in this movie, right, is that Kevin Smith went around and called up all of his friends and was like, hey, just had a heart attack, I'm gonna make this movie.
Yeah.
Essentially guilt trip them.
Yeah. I remember. I think he either an interview or some film later down the road. He mentions the whole I basically guilt tripped everyone into being in this film.
Yeah,
mate. Respect,
yep,
mate. Let's go.
Exactly. You gotta make him somehow. You gotta make this movie somehow.
Exactly.
Especially
chase that bag, Kevin.
Yeah, especially too with wasn't made on a lot of money. Like this one still is 100% Smodco production. It's not fucking Universal or Miramax making this one.
Yeah.
So you got to get those favors in somehow.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck, when around the time of this movie, Jay and Silent Bob, they will immortalize their hands and footprints in the Hollywood
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
At the Chinese Theater in LA, and when they accept this sort of thing and they're doing it, Ben Affleck goes on stage, makes a speech for them.
Yeah.
And makes a speech about them. How sweet. How wholesome.
That's pretty sick. I like that. I did not know that. That's awesome.
And honors these two fake stoners for a little bit, and sort of that credits them for a bit of Ben Affleck's career.
That's beautiful. Honestly, mate, the day I ever go to Hollywood, that's the only star I want to find and take a photo of.
Yes,
that's the main one I'm looking for.
You know what I find a bit strange that doesn't happen in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot?
Go on.
Is we don't have a final act climax moment where Silent Bob speaks up and is the voice of reason.
Yeah. They I don't even. What does he even say in this movie that's like insightful or anything like that?
Well, the only time that he really speaks in this movie is around the halfway point in this KKK scene.
Oh yeah,
with the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, can I just ask, what the fuck was that? Is that like, is he trying? I feel like, was it a? Because like it sounds like he was trying to make a Glenn Ross reference, and it's like, why are you referencing this like early 90s Ben Affleck film? Like it's a I mean, sure, it is like a somewhat popular line monologue kind of thing, but it's like, okay, we haven't seen Silent Bob in like over 10 years, and you know he's known for saying like wise stuff, or at least like, you know, like what he says like sticks with you kind of thing, even if it's something like inconsequential like fucking Clerks 2, where it's like, I got nothing. You know, with this, it's just like, what the fuck was the thought process behind it?
It is a fucking schizophrenic scene. I think this whole KKK insertion feels ridiculous.
I mean, it is kind of set up at the start, like they're with Fred Armisen talking about how hater tots were very big with hate groups and all that. So inclusion of said hate group, it's not like it came out of nowhere, but it's still like, why are you doing this? Like, it feels very inconsequential kind of thing. It's just like, what do we have here? Like, what do we want to include? The film's a bit short. What do we want to include? Oh, them getting captured by the KKK. Okay.
Yeah. KKK.
KKK.
You know why I think this is put in here?
Why?
For a egregious self-insert fantasy where Kevin Smith is like, you know what? I want to humiliate the Ku Klux Klan. I want to do it.
That is another good reason. Yes.
I think that is exactly why he does it. It's just like, let's see, what's a group that I don't like that I want to take down a peg, and I want to personally do it.
We already did the Nazis in fucking yoga hoses, so you know, might as well just take the next step. KKK.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. He wants to cover them in shit, literally, and insult their intelligence and all these sort of things.
Yeah, he's gonna own the shit out of those bloody KKKs.
Them, which 100%, you know, an admirable pursuit. A little bit almost like lame though, where you're like, no, but I'm gonna do it. This is for me.
It feels almost Reddit core, like those Reddit core where it's like, and everybody clapped, and I told them what's what kind of thing. It's like, you know, good that you're, you know, shitting on this group kind of thing, the clan, but at the same time, it's like, it's very like, I'm gonna, like, wish fulfillment, I'm gonna be the hero kind of thing.
The funniest thing about this scene, I believe, is something that doesn't even have anything to do with the actual film and isn't in this movie. But I watched a documentary called Magnum Opus, which is a documentary about the making of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yeah.
And they filmed this KKK scene on International Women's Day.
Oh, really?
So Kevin loves to make a speech, as we know. He loves to yap. So looking at him directing, every freaking shoot, every scene is bookended by a big grandiose speech from Kevin. And on International Women's Day, he's there in costume making this big speech about how important women are in his life, in his career, in the whole film industry as a whole. And he's doing it in costume with the KKK hood on, making a big speech about how important women are, as in the background there's Harley Quinn Smith and all of her sort of sidekick characters tied up.
Okay.
It is a very, very funny image.
And that's fucking
probably the funniest thing about this whole KKK inclusion.
Okay, what the fuck, I like that.
I also want to say, with Kevin Smith being in this, with him being a character as a whole, there's something about this animated Kevin Smith playing Kevin Smith, as especially too with him being all skinny now and everything. That there's something that he looks like a puppet.
There's a bit of an uncanny valley thing going on.
Yeah,
I didn't see it as much, but it was like, I mean, to be fair, it's just like seeing, like, really awesome that he's, like, you know, lost the weight and everything, and, you know, that he's, you know, being more healthy and everything. Like, it's awesome to see. But, like, even with Silent Bob, there's just a bit of an uncanny valley, just because, like, I'm so used to how he has looked over these last 20 years, to then have it be such a drastic change as well from the last time we saw Silent Bob. Like, again, no issue with, you know, health-wise whatsoever, but, like, it's just a bit jarring. And then, yeah, like what you said with, him playing an animated version of himself on stage.
An already animated man.
Yeah, exactly. It is, yeah. I didn't think puppet. It just felt like I'm watching someone cosplay as Kevin Smith in a way, like me trying to do a Kevin Smith cosplay or something like that.
It's also really interesting that I think that at this point, like maybe he's a little bit more used to it now, but he still has the mannerisms of a bigger guy,
right?
But as a skinny guy,
right?
Like he still acts with the same velocity and sort of movement as a dude that's double his weight,
right? Yeah,
it's really interesting and strange to look at. I think
I might have to like reobserve like some of these scenes.
You gotta study him.
Yeah, exactly.
Study his body language. What did you think of the ending of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot? What did you think as they go to Chronicon and they've actually put together a Chronicon for this movie?
I remember really loving that sequence back in 2020, so I was excited to get to it. And like, look, I had fun with it. It doesn't compare to like the final act of them running around in Hollywood like that. Like, it's still I had a good time with it. What do you call it? Like, I'm a sucker, but like some of the cameos were doing me a bit of joy and everything. Mainly the Clerks cast reunion.
Yeah, that's
cameo.
fun.
That was nice.
Apparently, that was like one of the most complicated like CGI effects in the film.
Oh yeah, with the whole black and white thing.
Yeah, having just the characters in black and white. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Smith was saying that the entire budget of that like one scene.
Yeah.
Bigger than the budget of Clerks.
That's fucking insane.
And
Holy
what
shit.
the fuck?
I mean, I enjoyed that little joke. That was fun.
Worth it.
Yeah,
Worth it.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly. I thought the sequence was fine. I didn't care for the final fight sequence. I
agree.
I didn't care for it. Also, like the fucking like, the Chinese girl is actually a Russian spy, and it's like, okay, I get that they're trying to do. They're trying to riff on the fact that, Jesse and the girls were like, wearing cat suits and like, master criminals kind of thing. So they want to riff on that in this film, but it doesn't work. It comes way too late. It also just feels very dated as well. It seems like something you'd seen like a late 2000s or early 2010s film, not in 2019.
It's so fucking lame, right? I am a Russian spy here to kill American film icon.
Yeah.
It's so fucking lame.
It just comes out of it's lame. That's a perfect way to describe it.
It also like I think emphasizes too much that it's like Kevin Smith writes himself as a figure that is like, is sort of has enough gravity for someone to assassinate him.
Yeah. It's coming off as a little bit like self-importance, like too much self-importance going on.
Yeah.
And like, you got like all the fights, while everyone's fighting, you got him on the stage, he's kind of like explain like, oh yeah, no, so this is how we're going to end it. We're going to cross dissolve. And like, he's like kind of explaining shit as the fight's going on. And I'm like, on one hand, it's like, okay, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, Jesus Christ, man, this is like getting way too self-indulgent. Like, settle the fuck down, mate.
Yeah, it's very off-putting, and I don't mind the whole like Iron Bob thing, but then it just I don't think that, with the exception of Red State, that Kevin Smith knows how to fucking do action.
No, not really, nah.
So this big last final fight scene, none of the action has any weight or gravity or... It's just a bit fucking boring.
Yeah. It's also just too much shit going on as well. It's just a bunch of fucking noise. I mean, there was noise. It was a bunch of noise in Strike Back, but like this is like it's like turned up to 11 here.
If you hadn't cringed yet in this scene, you have to cringe when they start lining up the joints and the green weed smoke enters the room.
Oh, yeah.
Did that not make you go, oh, come on, man?
A little bit, yeah. No,
you don't need to make it green weed smoke.
Yeah.
Like, as in, that, okay, A, isn't real, and we would get it if it was just normal smoke.
Yeah, no, completely. Like, it is very much just, it's just very cringe, honestly. Like, you put it perfectly.
Sadly, there's more cringe than crunch in this movie.
That's a good way to describe it, honestly. I didn't cringe as much as I thought I was going to, because there was always that thought in the back of my head that maybe this might be worse than I thought, and like it is worse. It is like worse compared to the other rewatches of this film. But yeah, it's such a mixed bag of a film. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's awful, but yeah, it's. I don't see a rewatch happening anytime soon. Personally,
no rewatch for Reboot. Yeah, I do love Chris Hemsworth's cameo, and him being put on the movie poster, so people are like, oh, Chris Hemsworth is in this, and it being the most green screened fucking thing in the world, like
fucking shit.
Like needing him in a fucking booth with a green screen. They maybe had him for half an hour.
Yeah, like was the website Cameo around in 2019?
Cameo was definitely around. Yeah,
yeah. Because it just feels like I'm watching like one of the Cold Ones episodes where they get like a cameo from Gilbert Gottfried or something like that. That was honestly, I thought that was kind of funny. The Chris Hemsworth cameo. It's like the clearly just the green screened in cameos. I like.
I think what's so funny about it is that it's almost like an intentional clickbait. Like, as in, like, the joke here is that potentially lured in viewers to go, ooh, Chris Hemsworth. Like, probably maybe not to the theater, but I could imagine people going through fucking Netflix or something and being like, oh, what's this Chris Hemsworth movie?
Yeah.
And then they put on this fucking other language. like as in, this is someone that the person that's putting it on, you know, they've seen like, you know, 10 Marvel movies or something. So some of the jokes they get because there's MCU humor in there.
Yeah.
But then they're like, what the fuck is this world? What is it? Imagine going into this expecting as well, like, you know, oh, it's live action. They seem like potentially believable characters.
Yeah, like a proper streamlined narrative.
Yeah. Imagine you're expecting that this is set in the real world.
Yeah.
Where this is not set in the real world.
No,
this is set in the View-Askew universe.
Yeah, so a bizarre world of ours. Yes.
And I do
it's my favorite fantasy universe.
I do like the way that this ends on the most sort of like wholesome note of Jay and his daughter coming together in our most comfortable place in the quick stop.
Yeah.
And as the credits do roll, after this whole sappy emotional ending, you see that the whole cast did have a great time.
Yeah.
And that makes you happy, even if personally I don't think I did.
Yeah, no, like that's the main thing at least. You know, they had fun, and you know, at moments fun was had for me at least. You know,
I'm glad that this movie exists for the people that have something to do with it, because fuck, they would have had so much fun.
Yeah, completely.
Especially Kevin, where the last scene in Magnum Opus, fuck man, in this doco, if you played a drinking game where you would take a shot every time that Kevin Smith cries and gets like overly emotional, then you would have alcohol poisoning by the end.
Let's do that tonight.
Okay,
I haven't seen Magnum Opus, so let's do that tonight.
Okay, perfect, good idea. well, sorry to spoil then the ending of this movie, but it's essentially just as the movie has finished, it's wrapped.
Yeah.
And Kevin is looking at the camera, talking to the camera, and he's bawling his eyes out. He's so emotional, and he's like, it just happened too quick. It finished too fucking quick, man.
Yeah.
And like no fucking like wow, I could only imagine how emotional that would be.
Yeah.
This being like your brainchild and almost like this summary of your entire career. And I think it was 41 shooting days.
Oh, damn.
And holy God, it would go so quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're having so much fun on the set and everything like that. Like that shit just goes this is by.
Kevin playing with all of his toys. All in this one big sandbox that he has created.
Yeah.
And now the bell's gone, and it's time for him to go home.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
And something that it is beautiful to see him see and acknowledge is that as he's crying, he says that he's done making movies that aren't him.
Yeah.
And he says, Zack and Miri wasn't me. Cop Out, Jersey Girl wasn't me. This is fucking me.
That's nice. That's nice.
And oh my God, he could not be more correct.
Yeah.
That there's nothing more Kevin Smith than Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Damn straight, man.
But I think that I'm probably finished with this movie for now.
I think that's all that really needs to be said. I feel like we've touched on all the bases.
Yeah,
with
exactly. But saying that, we're going to move on now to another movie that, ironically enough, is very not Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I know. Or immediately went back on his word.
Went back on his word.
Contradicting bastard.
But there's a reason for this, and it's because Killroy Was Here was filmed before Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Oh, okay. I guess I guess like pre-COVID it was filmed?
It was pre-COVID, and it was in this strange sort of like time where he wanted to, cap off the Yoga Hoses trilogy with Moose Jaws. Also wanted to make this Krampus movie called Anti-Santa.
Oh, okay.
And then Krampus came out with like Adam Scott and everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh fuck! Well, someone's already made the movie." So he didn't do that, and he had one more horror film in him.
Yeah.
But this was sort of stuck a little bit in development hell, and that's why...
Yeah, I did a little bit of reading on that, and it seemed like a pretty rough time, like, trying to get, it was, because he was struggling to get, a distributor for the movie, right?
He was really, really struggling, and I think rough time is a good way to put this movie overall. But before we go too deep, here's a bit of the trailer of Killroy Was Here.
Blind the eyes that cannot see, make deaf the ears that cannot hear, close the mouth that cannot tell, and send the monster back to hell.
Back then, his name was Roy Huggins. When he was your age, he already had a taste for blood.
Holy shit.
What is happening?
Nothing will stop Killroy if he wants to get you.
Oh,
God!
You almost gave me a heart attack. I'm a middle-aged man who eats like shit and huffs floor cleaner all day.
So, Rhys, I gotta ask, what the hell is Killroy Is Here anyways?
Okay, so... very, very strange film. You're completely right that Kevo had a lot of difficulties finding a distributor for this film.
Yeah.
To the point that Shudder turned him down.
Shudder turned him down. Hey, no shade to Shudder, by the way. I love that streaming service, but really?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
And I agree. I like Shudder, but I don't think of them as the highest of standards.
No, they got a lot of shovelware slop there. But
they really fucking do.
But a lot of streaming services do though. So why? It just surprised me. None of them were like, oh yeah, we'll pick this up. Have you seen fucking Netflix's output?
Yeah.
You think they maybe would have taken it, for Christ's sake?
He was pretty much rejected by all of the streaming services out there.
Man, why?
I know, right? And you see some of the garbage that's on there.
Yeah.
But then came along an opportunity to not just get distribution for the movie, but for Kevin to make movie history.
Mm-hmm.
And Killroy Is Here became the first ever NFT film.
I remember hearing about when you told me that. I rolled my eyes so hard. I feel like they were gonna burst a blood vessel, man. Oh my days.
And Kevin Smith got paid personally $1 million to make this happen.
Yeah.
And they limited it to 5,555 copies. Mm-hmm. So that was the only way to sort of legally watch this movie for a long time, is to own the NFT. I feel like it's not a great sign to make a movie that it only really has the legal potential for 5,555 people to see this movie.
Yeah.
That tells me you don't have a lot of faith in it, right?
Mm.
And just to sort of summarize what this movie is about, is that it's an anthology piece, an anthology horror about this sort of horror, monster icon from World War II named Killroy.
Yeah.
Just like a little graffiti tag almost.
Yeah, a little funny nose sticking over a wall kind of thing.
Exactly. Kevin Smith took that. I think what motivated him to make this movie was that he when doing research, he was like, holy shit, I can't believe no one's made a movie with this title before.
Interesting.
So because
I feel like they have made movies, but not. Oh, really?
There's no film. There's no feature film.
I've searched. I guess maybe documentaries or kind of stuff like that. Because I have seen movies called Killroy Is Here and all that from the 1940s kind of thing. So maybe there's documentary related content to do with the actual origin of said graffiti.
Oh, okay, that's actually a good point. Kevin Smith lied to me then, because it does say here that there was a film called Killroy Was Here from 1947.
Yeah, but again, to be fair, it's probably not exactly. I doubt it's the same as the Killroy Was Here that we're talking about today.
Yeah, well, maybe, but actually, it does say it's about the World War II, expression and all that sort of stuff, and it does seem like it's a sort of horror movie sort of situation.
Right. Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah.
He thought this would be a great way to make a modern contemporary horror anthology with this guy.
Yeah, right.
And what did you think of this horror anthology, Kane?
I mean, I'll say this, it was better than I thought. I went into this thinking it was going to be hot fucking garbage. I was going in ready to hate this.
Really?
I didn't care for it, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, to be honest.
Better or worse than Holidays?
I'd say worse than Holidays.
Yeah.
I liked Holidays a lot more. Like the
Okay.
Kevin Smith segment and also just the film in general. Like it was short and there were moments of enjoyment, but all in all, it was just very like in one ear out the other. I'm like, okay, like this was kind of like this was a film that I watched out of obligation. It felt like
This was definitely an obligation movie.
Yeah, you feel the same?
I could not help but just think my biggest takeaway is, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? It feels so
a great way to sum it up.
Painfully bargain bin micro budget slasher, this movie.
Yeah.
I really didn't like it. I was in a lot of pain watching this. It was I like no redeeming qualities in my opinion. There's some little bits that had intrigue to me.
Yeah.
But it never, not a single moment that I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good now.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly valid. I feel like I wouldn't say I felt pain watching this, but at the film's worst, I was like, it was either bewildering or just boring. Like I was for a lot of it, I was just bored.
It feels crazily fucking amateur, right?
No, it does, man.
Like,
it does.
Even with the low, crazy micro budget that this film would have had, how do you make it feel this fucking bad?
Yeah, it kind of feel like you're watching like a YouTube like a YouTube video with just a bit of a higher production value and budget, but like
it is
that's YouTube. That's fine. That's different.
There's YouTube short production value sort of thing. You're right.
Yes.
And like it doesn't. I think that the thing that makes it feel so amateur is that it doesn't weave Killroy into these other little stories that well at fucking all.
No, some of them do.
So it's written like it's from a fucking child.
Some of them do it better than others. There are some, there's one segment that I highly remember in the film involving, what was it, the gator beta or something like that. Like,
okay.
There's stories where they try to rope in Killroy, like the one with the kids at the school where they're fearful of him and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, they've already introduced this concept already early on into the segment. Okay, cool, whatever, fine. Is it good? Not really, but okay. It's at least introduced. With something like the Gator Beta, the Gator Chaser, whatever the hell his name was, it is literally just a completely just different fucking story.
Yeah.
And it literally concludes with like the resolution of said story of what's happening in that segment. And then Killroy just shows up just at the very final 30 seconds just to be like, oh shit, we forgot to include him in this. Okay, put him in right now. It's like, what the, like, I was legitimately like blindsided. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? It's like, why even bother including that segment at all?
Well, they had to make it a feature movie, right? And it just hit 60 minutes.
Oh my god, but it's like, oh my...
Kevin thought that this movie was gonna have like a theatrical distribution.
Ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous, man.
What the fuck?
Oh my god. I barely remember any of the other segments apart from like those two.
Okay, so there's 4 segments overall, and I think the 2 middle ones are my favorites, even though that it's not a fucking high bar.
Yeah, it was the children, and then
so first one is the
sick
daughter, the sick daughter that's getting like drugged by her mum. Again, what the fuck does Killroy have to do with this?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, what the fuck does Killroy have to do with it?
It's a totally different story about like an abusive mother-daughter relationship.
It's literally just playing on the like Gypsy Rose Blanchard fucking bullshit with like the mother gaslighting the daughter. Well, I mean, gaslighting the daughter into like being sick. I mean, granted, Gypsy never poisoned the mother never poisoned Gypsy in that story, at least from what I remember. But yeah, you get the same fucking general idea though.
It literally was Kevin, like at the time when making this, it would have been, like she would have been, the part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah, like the act would have come out, and like I think they were talks about her like leaving. I was about to say escape, being freed from prison kind of thing. So yeah, so that would have been in the cultural zeitgeist. You are right.
So Kevin would have just been like, oh, that's pretty popular. popular. Yeah, let's chuck that in there.
Yeah.
And it feels so fucking cheap and nasty and off-putting, and it feels like none of these actors are professionals.
Oh, completely, yeah.
Oh, and as his last horror movie that he does, it's the fourth. And fuck, they just get worse.
They really do.
They really get worse and worse.
They really do. Even despite my mixed feelings towards, like, say, Red State and Tusk, like, goddamn, we had no idea how good we had it. Man.
Oh my god!
I mean, hell, I guess like Red State would technically consider it to be his best horror movie because that's like really the only one that is scary kind of thing
and original and interesting and ahead of its time even.
Yeah, no, completely. Meanwhile with Tusk, like obviously I like Tusk more than Red State, but the genre and tonal shifts are way too fucking jarring with that film. With this, it's not even the kills are fun in this.
They're not.
The gore and practical, like there's not even any practical effects. It's all like horrible CG fucking kid in blood effects. It looks awful, genuinely terrible. So you can't even have fun with any of the kills in this. Like some of the Friday films that we watched, they're awful, but they'll at least have like one good kill, like Jason X for example. With this, we don't even get that.
You get no payoff, zero payoff.
Yeah,
here.
completely.
And not even Jason Mewes playing a janitor could save this fucking second segment with the kids. I thought that they were sort of charming, and I liked their dynamic.
What, the kids?
The kids with the teacher.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same boat.
But then I think when they left the when they had like the stage, when they left the stage and like the janitor comes in, I started to really not like it again, and I was like, for fuck's sake, Jason Mewes somehow did not have any presence here.
Yeah. I mean, it took me a while to actually realize that was Jason Mewes. I was like, why does he look familiar? What the fuck? And then then boom, it was Jason Mewes. But it took me a while because like it's just he didn't have that spark like he did in Reboot.
Yeah. Pretty much my favorite segment here was definitely the pedophile priest segment. I thought was.
Oh my god, I forgot about that one. That one was fine. That was alright.
It got me intrigued.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting thing to explore.
Yeah.
And then also it feels like the most seamless integration of Killroy.
Yeah, fair enough. I think, you know why I'm kind of a bit like just like on it is because it's mainly just the casting of the casting of that guy from Yoga Hosers playing the priest.
Okay.
I am so fucking sick of seeing that guy in every Kevin Smith movie. I don't know his name. I'm so fucking sick of seeing his face though.
So that's Ralph Garman.
Yeah.
Who he is the co-host of Kevin Smith's podcast Hollywood Babylon.
Right.
So once, and if you sort of have a look at when he starts coming into these films of Kevin Smith's, it's every film since podcaster Kevin Smith came into
well, he was
reality.
he's been in the film since like Red State, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And like I'm sorry, I'm just sick. I mean, I'm burnt from fucking Yoga Hosers, yes, but I'm sick of seeing the cunt's face. All right, like Jesus Christ.
I think this is his best performance though.
Yeah, he's good in it, and he is like my annoyance of him being in this film, it works to like have him be like, and also because he's playing like a fucking sickening individual, it does work for like a real like, oh, he's gonna get yours kind of performance. But yeah, like, I mean, like I said, like it's like the segment's fine, but again, it's just like it's not really saying much when this whole film's just fucking such a nothing burger.
Yeah, it's really off-putting though. The kids in that segment,
right?
I think there's something that like. These kids, it's like we watched Harold and the Purple Crayon the other day, and I remember that I said in the movie, I was like, "There's something so off-putting about these children because they don't look like what normal children look like. You go to a primary school, they don't look like this."
Yeah, right.
Well, okay, we're not really going to many primary schools looking at children.
What the fuck are you doing?
No, but just like they don't look like children that you would see around. They look like fucking like they're made in a test tube.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it's like the weird fucking like a child actor industrial complex of like parents building their child to be an actor rather than a kid first.
Yeah.
And then you get all these children that look like they're made out of plasticine or something.
Okay.
And and I just had a feeling like this freaking segment, all the kids in there, they don't look like real kids.
Right.
But I think the segment when they're in the school, I think those two kids look like real children.
Yeah, those ones felt more natural. Yeah.
These ones look like they're made from like a pay actor fucking like some sort of website where you can get like Oh, that sounds awful. A website where you can
A
pay to
website where
get
you can-
15 children
Oh, wow,
for
okay.
like on set for 2 hours or something.
Whoa.
Pay by the hour children sort of thing.
Oh my god, fucking hell.
Which, quite actually, not the best time to joke about that with the subject matter of this segment.
Jesus Christ, Rhys.
But overall, even they try and tie it together too by like this framing device that has Harley Quinn
Yeah,
Smith.
the wraparound narrative.
Like,
why is she? I'm sorry. Why is her character such a bitch in this fucking segment?
Such a bitch.
Oh my fucking god! Like
Well-
I've seen movies where like babysitters can be a bit like bitchy and like like a teenage babysitter. But like, oh my god, she is needlessly fucking mean in this, dude.
It's and also just like it's such a fucking trope. The like horrible babysitter that acts all nice and sweet, and then the parent goes and then is like, "Hey, look, little kid.
Yeah, it's like we did this.
I'm not here to be your friend."
It's like we did it. This trope peaked with Monster House, featuring Jason Lee as well as the babysitter's boyfriend. All right, we don't need this cliche anymore. All right, so let's move on, people.
Man, I want to watch Monster House. That's a great fucking.
It is a great
scary kids movie.
It is a great movie, man. Fucking hell, stacked cast, man. Steve Buscemi, Jason Lee. We'll talk about that next week.
Doesn't this movie though, Killroy Was Here, just I can't help but think when watching this movie, what was your vision, Kevin?
Yeah,
what was your vision?
That is a good point. It's just like, what was the purpose? What's the point? Why am I watching this? Why did you feel so strongly about this character, this story, this graffiti piece to dedicate your time to make a film based around this character? Like, what was the fucking point?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah,
it's baffling.
I'm stumped, man.
This is one of Kevin Smith's most baffling movies. It feels like other than the cast, there's no real Kevin Smith DNA here.
Yeah.
It feels like Kevin at his most disinterested and least passionate.
Yeah.
And maybe that makes sense because it is the last film he went into production for pre-heart attack.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And after a bit of a line of these sort of shitty movies, and maybe that is why, like, he would have fucking been on his deathbed thinking the last movie I was in production for was this.
Yeah, okay.
No wonder you would get a bit existential, right?
That's a good point, because, like, again, I didn't know that this was in production before Reboot, so, after having watched Reboot and then jumping to Killroy, I'm kind of like, what the fuck, like I said earlier, like, what, you went back on your word, Kevin, what the fuck is going on? But, like, you explaining that, it does make a bit more sense as to why there's this half-hearted energy in it. So, like, it just feels like anyone could have directed this shit, If it just happens to be directed by Kevin Smith because you have some alumni that, Kevin Smith usually casts, including, his fucking daughter, for God's sake.
Watching his interviews for this movie, he's so absent. It's almost like he doesn't want to be there. It's almost like he doesn't know why he's there in the first place.
Damn, fuck me, man.
There was this really awkward interview that I watched on YouTube with this guy that's dressed like a fucking real estate agent interviewing him on a pier on set during the production of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about, like, I think the interview has to do with, like, filming in Burbank or whatever location they're on, because they're sort of like, they're away from LA and they're like, putting money into the local economy of where they're filming the film. And that's the only thing that he can really say about this movie is just like, yeah, it's a great location. Yeah, it's I love it here, and really professional crew that know what they're doing, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, this movie.
Just sound like any fucking regular director or actor doing a PR fucking press tour. Like, this does not sound like the Kevin Smith that we've grown to know and love, and occasionally be annoyed by,
It's like the fucking interviews we watched the other day for Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Exactly.
Where Zachary Levi it says a million times, the thing about this movie is it's just so much fun.
It's so much fun, but hey, we got a bit more substance with the Harold and the Purple Crayon fucking press tours. Oh my days.
Where, like, Harold and Purple Crayon seemed to come out in, like, the same weekend as the election was happening this year.
Yes. So Zachary Levi just starts ranting about, like, every fucking interview that we watched, he'd bring up how, like, we really need a film like this in these troubling times, and, like,
to unite people.
And, bro, buddy, Shazam, Chuck, It's a fucking purple crayon. Shut the fuck up, cunt.
In these times when it's red versus blue, this world really needs purple right now.
Why not? Cunt is literally fucking quoting Boxman 2.0. Why not combine the two? Purple is hip. What the fuck is... Oh my god. So, like, those fucking things, those press tour fucking interviews were better than Harold and the Purple Crayon and Killroy Was Here combined. I'm serious, alright? I got more joy and laughter out of that than watching both these two films.
Yeah, you know what? I like that we paired up Killroy Was Here and Jane Silent Bob Reboot, because it's sort of, we showed a little bit like what Kevin is and can be, and it's maybe not the best when he's back in the Jane Silent Bob universe, but you know, at least it's him.
Exactly.
And then we immediately get a comparison afterwards showing us, well, this is him when he's not even himself.
Yeah.
And even though the Jane Silent Bob, it may not be pretty, at least it's not this fucking bitter and this difficult to put down. Well, we'll see you next week for our last episode, diving into Kevin Smith and his wonderful filmography. Goodbye. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the arse.